This is Mouse Gunner, and we're going to have another playthrough of Medieval Engineers. So this time I'd like to show you guys the first large structure I attempted to build. And here it is. It's kind of a keep. We've got it in this nice, picturesque scenery. Let's go ahead and hop inside the structure. Now I will point out that it is only finished as far as the actual building of the structure. There's no interior. So as we come in to the main entrance here, we see our archways and columns to support the structure. We have an open courtyard in the center, and that continues over here. This area here is more than likely going to be, maybe this isn't going to be necessarily a king's keep, but maybe some noble of some kind, a lord. This would be like the Lord's Hall here, so maybe we'd have, maybe not a throne, but we'd have a series of tables for like main meetings, like maybe like a dining hall kind of thing, but also he can use this as, just like a meeting hall. If we go over to here, we just have a basic, generic room. More than likely, if I were to continue with this structure, I'd probably dig down below. I'd make this probably the kitchen, and then I'd make a cellar underneath. But we'll discuss a little bit later why I probably am not going to continue this structure. If we go over here, we have the stairway to go up to the next floor. And over here, and up, once we get to the second floor, we have what I've kind of considered the a guard's room, possibly. And this gives you, there's lots of windows, and you get a nice look of the valley below. And a lot of, essentially, shooting ports through these windows to, if there were bow and arrows, to fire upon any attackers onto the keep. If we come out here, we have a way to walk across to the other areas, and we can also use this wood kind of bridge to go across as well. If we come over here, we have the Lord's quarters. So here would be like a sitting room. Over here would be the main quarters, the bedroom. And then over here would either be the ladies' bedroom or a study of some sort. If we go across to the opposite side, we have the yes, I guess you'd call them servants' quarters, but you have a little bit more rooms. They're a little bit smaller. Possibly these rooms would be shared amongst more than one of the servants or guards. And then if we come over here, we find our way up to the next floor, which we can take this wooden staircase to get to. And here we have a number of wood beams, and above us is a wood ceiling, and I will discuss why that is the case. And then up here we have all the battlements, so we can, defend the keep from up top. And if we need a little higher vantage point, because there is a hill here, this is probably not the best place to put a keep like this, right next to a very steep hill that is almost equal in elevation. But we can come back in here, take the second set of stairs up to the top, and then we have a little bit more elevation to combat whoever's up on this upper elevation. And that's pretty much the keep in a nutshell. Now, one thing I did kind of discuss this a little bit is whether or not I would continue with the structure, doing interiors and everything. And to kind of answer that question is, if we look at the structural integrity, you'll notice that some areas are rather dark orange. And as much as this structure, stands on its own, it is kind of a little bit under strain, and the reason for that is because I did not build it properly. If you see here, the column and arches here are exactly in line. That is not necessarily what you want to do. You actually want to stagger them. So by doing this, I'm putting all of the weight on these columns, which is not good. And as you see inside the interior, I've continued that trend. Where the arches are exactly in line with the arch below it. This is not the best way to distribute the load. So, as a result, as much as this structure supports itself, one of the reasons I made this ceiling here out of wood is because when I tried to make the third floor here, it literally could not take the weight of a stone construction. So I had to compromise for wood, and I actually had to make this shorter than I would have liked. I would have liked it at least one level up, but unfortunately this was about as much weight as it can take. And to demonstrate the problem with the structure, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the large projectile thrower, and we're just going to place one stone right here at a decent velocity. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time that you're going to have a lot of frame dip, but there's going to be a lot of structural integrity calculations, so this is going to slow down quite a bit. So there we go, we have the beginnings of the lag, and at first we just see this wall of crumble, but now you see the columns start to crumble very quickly, and this is almost in slow motion. Actually, the frames aren't dipping, it's lagging due to the calculations. I'm staying in a pretty steady frame rate. It's slowing down because of all the calculations it has to make as far as the structural integrity goes. So, as we can see, this entire wing is just completely collapsed. It is possible, as we notice the lag continues, the destruction is going to continue as well. As we see here, it's starting to bring other sections of the keep down with it. And more or less, as we see, the whole structure is going to eventually get pulled down around just that one little breach. So we can see that the structural integrity of this thing, although it works and the structure is able to stand on its own, it doesn't take a whole lot of influence to start bringing down the rest of the keep. So as we see, that structure is completely collapsed. Now this structure is starting to collapse and tip. And this structure is starting to get collapsed as well. And it's soon to fall. So essentially 2 of the quarters of the keep are already collapsing. And then we have this quarter here is starting to collapse, as we see large portions of the wall here are starting to collapse, and eventually that finally gives and is completely gives out. So all that's left standing is this last quarter, but we see it crumble before our eyes as it slowly loses its structure. And it's about finished with its collapse, and there you go. There goes the collapse, finally. So as we can see, that one little breach destroyed the entire keep. And things are starting to speed up as the calculations are finally finished. And there you have it. Complete destruction of keep with one little breach. All we did was hit this wall, and the entire structure disintegrated. So as we can see, this is essentially how you don't build a structure. As much as the first floor would have been structurally sound, because I built the second floor using the, essentially continuing the bearing load on these columns below were the only thing keeping the entire building up. And as we can see, that's the area where we had the main area of failure. All of these columns have given way and allowed the structure to collapse, and that is the weak point. And we see this continued over here. So essentially, this is how you don't build a building. So hopefully what we can do in the next video that I'm going to show you is how to build a large structure correctly, because in building this structure, I kind of learned through my mistake of how to build the structure a little bit better. So perhaps down there in another spot of this generated world, we'll build another structure, another large structure, and we'll demonstrate how we can build a structure much more structurally sound by using better building architecture. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, as this house of cards has completely fallen in on itself. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.